Our next type of inheritance is incomplete dominance. The heterozygote is a mix of the dominant and recessive alleles. Let's look at the genotypes and compare it to the picture on the right. Homozygous dominant, RR, the chestnut horse. Homozygous recessive, WW, the white horse. Finally, this should be a mix of both horses. Heterozygous, roan horse. It's a mix of both genotypes and phenotypes, making it RW and a roan color. The difference between incomplete and codominance is that incomplete is a mix, while codominance shows both alleles. Let's look at an example of incomplete dominance. In goblins, the number of horns shows incomplete dominance. No horns, HH, are incompletely dominant to 2 horns, HH recessive. As you can see, I wrote the genotypes next to each goblin. Show a cross between 2 goblins with 1 horn, heterozygous. Using the first monohybrid cross, I'm writing the genotype of the heterozygous 1 horn and another heterozygous. As you can see, I have a dominant, heterozygote, homozygous recessive, and another heterozygote. Using my results, I'm going to write the genotype and phenotype. For the genotype, there's 1 out of 4 homozygous dominant. And then there's 2 out of 4 heterozygous. And lastly, there's 1 out of 4 homozygous recessive. That's a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. Once again, that's a 1 out of 4 homozygous dominant, also stated as 25%, and that's the homozygous dominant. Next is the homozygous recessive, which is also 1 out of 4, or 25%. Finally, the last one is 2 out of 4, or 50% heterozygous. Now let's look at the phenotypes. The first one is a 1/4 no horn. The second one is a 1/4 2 horns. And finally, the last one should be a mix between 2, since it's the incomplete dominant heterozygous. And this is a 2 out of 4 1 horn. Let's go on to the next problem. Show a cross between a goblin with no horns and a goblin with 1 horn. So we take the homozygous dominant, no horns, and we take 1 with a horn, and that's the heterozygote, and we're doing the cross, and we got 2 dominant, H8s. We have 2 heterozygotes. Doing the genotype, we can say that there's 2 HH and 2 HH heterozygous. So that means there's a 50%, or 2 out of 4, for the homozygous dominant and the heterozygote, HH. For the phenotype, we know that there's a 1/2 with the homozygous dominant, HH, no horns, and a 1/2 with the 1 horn. To summarize, we know that incomplete dominance is when there's a mix between the 2 alleles. Thank you.